All right. Hey, everyone. I think we are live. Welcome to I believe this is the 13th episode of the Creators Corner here with TubeBuddy, where we hang out with different creators and really just have candid conversations, sharing knowledge, sharing advice, and answering your questions. So my name is Rob Balasabas. I'm the brand evangelist here at TubeBuddy. And I'm really excited to be here with all of you today. This is a live show, but we want to make sure that we also acknowledge all of the replay viewers. And so if you're watching this on the replay, thanks for hanging out with us. Leave your comments, leave your questions as well. We are monitoring those, so we want to make sure that we acknowledge that. So feel free to leave your questions. My special guest here today is part of our community, and so I'll make sure to tag him if there's some questions that I can't answer, so we'll direct that to him. So today we're going to be talking all about growing your channel, your YouTube channel, with engaging content. So how to identify your target audience, what to do when your following isn't growing and it's stale, how to create conversation that builds community, that's really important, where to grow your community outside of YouTube, and also when to stop listening to your audience and start paying attention to analytics. So I'm gonna bring my special guest on here today. Hey, Dale, how's it going?
What's going on, buddy? I'm pretty jacked, man. You got me over here on the TubeBuddy's Facebook page, and I'm kind of geeked up. I got to tell you, I've been a big fanboy of TubeBuddy for a long time, and you know, it's always been a dream of mine to be able to chat about TubeBuddy on TubeBuddy's, various facets. But it was the dream I didn't know that I had, and that I get to share it with you now that you're with TubeBuddy. Because Rob, as you know, we've been good friends for now, going on a couple years now.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
We've known each other that long.
We're just crossing off bucket list items today, So yeah. No, that's awesome, guys. If you guys don't know Dale L. Roberts and his wife are fantastic. I've met them in person. We've got to hang out quite a number of times at Vid Summit and other conferences. They have an incredible business helping people self-publish books. But beyond that, Dale has courses. He consults. He coaches, and recently he's doing a lot of stage time. He recently spoke at VidFest in Orlando. Saw that all over social, seeing you and Ross and Dan and all the guys there. It's really amazing. And he'll be with me hanging out at People of Video in New York in a couple of weeks. And he's emceeing that entire event. So fantastic. Really good to have you here, Dale. So I don't know if I did a really good job of introducing you there. So why don't you introduce yourself, what you do, and who you are and where you're at right now.
You covered everything pretty well, but my name is Dale L. Roberts. The reason I put the L in there is not because I'm trying to be pretentious by any stretch. When I got into the business of self-publishing and becoming an author, there was another Dale Roberts in the field doing, I think, mystery and suspense. And I didn't want to step on his toes, so that's why I ended up putting my middle initial in there just to be safe. But I've been in the business of self-publishing since roughly about 2013. I published my first book in March of 2014, and the rest, as they say, is history. But, I didn't see very good success immediately. And it took me about 2 years and plenty of coaching before I finally realized that success as a self-published author. And once that happened, I ended up landing some interviews on YouTube. And I became overwhelmed and inundated with requests like, how do you do this? How do you do that? What do you do to get to bestseller status? How are you formatting things? And the means to an end was YouTube. I was like, okay, instead of me answering the same question over and again, why don't I just shoot a video and then people can do it? So April of 2016, I actually had launched my first video underneath the Self-Publishing with Dale L. Roberts at the time. I ended up shortening it eventually, but that is my story. And I never thought for a minute that YouTube would take off as well as it did. And everything I did in this whole Self-Publishing with Dale thing eclipsed everything I did as an author, which is just nuts to me.
Yeah, no, I mean, you've done a great job. I'm going to put your YouTube channel here up on the screen. So go ahead and check that channel out, everyone. Dale has a fantastic channel there. He's built an amazing community, which is really what we're going to talk about here today. So I think before we do that, though, you've done this really well. It's really identifying your target audience. Like, you've been able to find your people on YouTube, and which has really like branched out and opened up a ton of opportunities for you. So I'd love for you to just like spend a couple minutes to share how you've done that. Like, how have you been able to identify your target audience on YouTube that is, not only your customers, but also, sort of like your community?
It took a lot of trial and error. I thought I knew what I was doing because originally it was a means to an end. And when I discovered that I wasn't really getting any traction, I said, okay, you know, this has to work. I have to have some type of relevancy here on YouTube and get more people in. That way people can learn at a quicker pace and not, get it to where they're doing the same mistakes as me. But when I identified my audience, that's when I really, took off. It took me probably about a year. And, you notice the parallels. I was talking about being in self-publishing for about 2 years before I saw it take off. Same thing went for YouTube. I was in it for about a year and I studied and I studied and I studied and I practiced and I implemented. And it wasn't until a conversation with a good mutual friend of yours and mine, Brian G. Johnson. He was on a live broadcast on his channel. And at that time, he was kind of doing his shticky comedy type stuff. And I was doing some comedy stuff too, although it was a little bit more crass and irreverent than what he was doing. And, he used to get a big kick out of it. But I kind of expressed my frustrations in the live chat of like, I really want to make this work. And one of the things he recommended was like, you got to get good on your audience. And if you don't, you're going to end up struggling. And he's like, let's just face it. You're doing something that's a bit more adult humor. And it's probably not the audience that's looking for the adult style humor. And I was like, And I really kind of analyzed what I was doing in my workflow. I was creating like hours of work to make, I would write a script, I would get a green screen put out, I would take hours to go painstakingly through and make every gag and make it funny, and people were kind of indirectly learning. But the problem was, I think it was turning off more people than it was turning them on. So that's when I was like, Brian was right on the money. I was like, you know what? That's it. Let's cut this BS. Let's get right to what people come to me for. They want to learn their stuff. They want to implement it. They want to move on. They don't want to sit here and laugh. They're not coming to me for comedy. So that's why I was like, okay, let's do this. Sure enough, within a few months, all I did was his tube ritual, as he calls it. And it's sitting down and committing yourself to a ritual pattern of getting your videos up and going. And I did about 114 days straight of video uploads. And that led me to the very first Vid Summit when I decided to go ahead and back off the gas just a little bit, because I would say within those few months, I had already broke well over 1,000 subscribers, because at that time I was like probably 500 and I just boosted up 1,000 within that 90-day period. And I wish I could say that I had it nailed initially. It was still very cringy. It still wasn't identifying them totally. I think it isn't until about the last year or so that I started to finally go, oh, here's my audience. So when I identified my audience, that's looking at, first of all, what videos are they watching? How long are they watching them for? What are the titles like? And what are the thumbnails like that's going to draw them in and keep them coming? And that's where I'm starting to see way, way better results. It was funny that it took me nearly 3 years to get 10,000 subscribers. It took me 9 months last year to get an additional 10,000, because I finally got good on who my audience was and what they wanted and how I could deliver it to them.
Yeah, that's amazing. I think I hear that story a lot where, obviously the first 1,000 or 10,000 subscribers takes so long. And then sort of the next set of 10,000 and 20,000 is just like, because you figured it out, right? You've figured out, you've done the work, you've done the research, and now you've found your people. And I mean, that's amazing. Brian G. Johnson, if you're listening, Brian, he's brilliant. Got to hang out with him at Social Media Marketing World last week, and he is a hoot. Yeah, so
he's a good dude, man. I
he's a
love
good dude.
Brian G. He knows it too.
Yeah, he's great. Actually, have you ever seen the rap video that he's made with Nick Nimmons? I got to send it to you. It's hilarious.
Yep. I've seen that one. It was tremendous. I think it was the Oh, what was it? The diss track on Daniel Patel.
That's
Daniel's
it. That's
awesome
it.
too.
Yeah, Daniel's awesome too. No, that's good. Okay, so basically, what you did there was you spent like over 100 days doing videos for like
Yeah.
a video a day. That's fantastic. I think that's commitment. I think a lot of people say like create your first 100 videos, right? I think Dan Courier talks about that. You know, Owen Video talks about that. Create your first 100 videos. You're gonna learn. You're gonna learn all the things. You know, editing, shooting, filming, lighting, but also your audience. You know, and your topic. So I wanna ask you, because you've done a really good job doing this, but what have you done as far as you know, when your audience kind of stops growing, right? When your channel kind of stops, yeah, like it just kind of goes stale. Like you hit a certain milestone, but then it kind of plateaus. What do you start doing there? Do you start looking into analytics? Do you start changing up your content? Do you start asking your audience? Like, what are some of the thoughts that go through your mind when that happens?
This and if you guys and gals are watching this and you find yourself into a bit of a sticking position to where you are plateauing, uh, good news, it happens to everybody, everyone. There's never a constant upward, type thing that you're going to keep going. Okay, not everything good lasts forever, and what I've noticed is it's always kind of a ebb and flow. So as long as you're producing great content and you're tweaking as you go along, you'll see that it'll come right back up. So as if, for instance, at the very end of 2019, I saw a drastic dip in my viewership, my subscribers, everything. And I wasn't discouraged. Took about a week off, took a step back, and I just analyzed things. And the funny thing is, I just gave it some room to breathe, and it shot up. Well, towards the end of January, it started dipping right back down. And that's where I started to analyze, okay, what are some of the things that are people are wanting to watch the most? What are they consuming the most of? And what are some of the most common questions they're asking within the comments that it can create additional, views, additional subscribers, get it to where people are coming back for more. So I had to go in and analyze the videos that are performing the best. And I think to myself, how can I do this again, but without having to rehash the same thing? Because, if I just keep saying the same thing over and over and just remixing it, people are going to get tired of it. So I had to kind of figure out what's the best way that I can double down on the video content that people are enjoying most. And kind of like what you were saying, though, too, Rob, and I think it was something that we should touch on, is every now and then you got to take a risk. You got to step out and try something just a little bit different, something that pushes you a bit outside your comfort zone, because every now and then you're going to find a hit in there. So for instance, I hate sharing my mistakes. I really do. Like, it like bums me out. Like sometimes, like I've lost thousands of dollars in the self-publishing business. I did dumb things that, are questionable. So rather than me like hiding those things, I found that I was like, okay, let me go ahead and do a video for it. And by gosh, for some reason, those type videos take off the best. That's when the community really starts to rally behind me and they start to drop in a ton of comments and say, kudos, this is awesome. I'm at XYZ. What should I do? And so by me being vulnerable and trying something a little different, I found that it brought me even more success. So that was kind of a roundabout way of me saying this, that you're going to hit a plateau from time to time. You might even hit a little bit of a dip. Take a step back, figure out what you can do to capitalize on your original victories, and analyze also the videos that aren't doing worth a darn. There are some I thought for sure, I'd be like, oh man, this is going to be killer. It's going to be great. I'm going to launch it. And it's crickets. And I'm like, okay, the audience has voted and they don't want this. And, and every now and then I'll go back through and I'll tweak the thumbnail and the title. And sometimes I'll see like it breathes new life into it. But for the most part, I try to put that type of stuff in the rear view, because my thought is maybe I can create something even better than that and people will come back for more.
Yeah, that's a great answer. I think it's important. Yeah, like you said, like you're doing all the right things, Dale. Like, you're looking back at old videos, you're tweaking thumbnails, you're also experimenting with different topics outside of your sort of like your lane, which is really good. One thing that I've done as well, just to add on to that, is testing content and topics outside of YouTube. So creating something on IGTV and seeing how that audience, my audience there, kind of reacts to it, on Instagram or Facebook, and then seeing if that strikes a nerve and you get a good response to that, then you can kind of create that on YouTube as well. But yeah, you're doing all the awesome things there, so that's great. I want to start talking about community, because this is I've jumped on your live streams, and they're pretty fun.
Like, isn't it?
It is off the hook, man. Like you make it really fun, and you've created this environment where yes, people are engaging with you, but I think you've achieved that, like where people need to go is the audience is engaging with each other, right? So you've created this like community, like it's kind of like a party, it's kind of like an event, right? So where you are hosting it, but people are interacting with each other, just like any good party. So give us some thoughts on how you're able to do that. What's your approach to creating conversation that builds community?
Oh man, this one, there's so
It's a
many
big
ways.
topic.
And I want to say, first of all, that I owe it to the community. The community is responding to the stuff I'm putting up, because for live streams, I'm going to tell you, it's dead simple for me. Like, just to get people contributing and get it to where they're chatting and they're getting to know each other. And there is building a sense of community, not just me on some pedestal that's lording over people. I feel like I'm the same guy that's wearing the t-shirt and jeans, and I'm just like everyone else. I just created a meeting spot for everybody to kind of join. So live streams are simple, because all I need to do is ask questions that are relevant to them. And people love to share something about themselves or about their expertise or their experience. People love to do that. And in so doing, what ends up happening is there gets to be a bit of a value exchange between the people within that community. So if you're ever live streaming, one of the most important things for you to do is acknowledge the people who showed up. Now, if for some reason you're streaming to a big fat goose egg, then talk like they're there. Speak to them, ask them relevant questions, get comfortable with speaking to yourself. And eventually, in due time, people will be attracted to that. I think I once heard Anthony Fleischman, a good friend of mine, say to me, your vibe will always attract your tribe. And this is so true. If you're just going to be cool, you're going to be hanging out with people, people are going to want to come hang out with you. So live streams, I've nailed it. Now, in video, it's going to come down to creating enough of a value, building enough value inside your video. You're sharing some information and then asking them what they think about it, or how do you think of this? So I always try to ask questions and pepper it in to the conversation naturally. If anybody's ever watched Graham Stephan, he's a ninja at this, and he makes it so much fun when he talks about smashing the like button to help the YouTube algorithm. I guarantee you 90% of his audience don't even know what he's talking about when it comes to the YouTube algorithm, but he does it so well that you're kind of like, oh man, I got to hit that like button. He does it so good. So that's what I try to pride myself on, is anytime I'm chatting with people and it's just a pre-taped video, I think about it being almost like a live stream, and that I'm, delivering the value and asking for something in exchange. There's one thing I can pride myself on. I may not be a viral sensation on YouTube. I may not be a millionaire in this business, but there's one thing that I'm really good at, and it's getting a ton of comments on my videos. It's crazy. It's off the hook. And if I were to recommend something else, Robin, and you're going to love this one, this little tip here is, if you've got the time, and I can guarantee you probably have the time if you're somewhere in the subscriber range of where I'm at, 26,000 or less, comment on everyone's comment, all right? Take the time, say hi to them, get the last word. Now, it's going to seem kind of crazy. You're like, get the last word. No, I'm not telling you to argue with them. No, let's just go ahead and let's put the trolls. We're going to toss them out the window. We don't care about them. I don't acknowledge those. I just usually ban, block, buy. I rather talk to the people that are really there to learn and gain from this. Mm-hmm. So what I'll typically do is say someone says, oh, I really love this video, Dale. Thank you. And I'll go, hey, thanks. I really appreciate you commenting and watching. Say, what do you think about X, Y, and Z? Finish it with and open-ended questions so you can continue this dialogue. Think of it almost like when you go on Facebook or you go on Twitter or you go on Instagram. It's not usually just person A says something, person B says something. There's typically a back and forth conversation. So in those comments, keep them coming, because the nice thing is those little comments start to add up. And here's the really cool thing is some people will see those long comment threads and interject. I know it was like Kevin McGuire, one of my, longtime followers. He and I will have full threads. Like, that's how we communicate. We don't even use email. We use my videos. And Julie Broad all of a sudden was just like, you guys do this on all the videos, don't you? And I'm like, well, yeah, it's how we keep up. We went over on her channel, started a party over there, an entire thread, and people start to chat amongst themselves. And I think that's the most important thing is don't just leave them hanging. Don't just give them a heart and just deuce out, see you later. I've got to give my brother a hard time. I don't know if you know, I've got a second YouTube channel, Rob. And in the second YouTube channel, my brother manages everything when it comes to the comments and such. And I'm always giving him a hard time. I'm like, dude, you just hearted him. Why didn't you say something to him? Well, it didn't seem like I had to say anything to him. Absolutely. Always say something to them. Always acknowledge that they have done something. They've commented, they've watched. Things like that are going to really help out in the long term. I love it. Gardens of Blessings TV. Yeah, trolls. Block by. It's me. Yeah, I call it boot, block, buy. That's boot, block, buy. It's my triple B methodology, and it's always served me really well. I learned from D. Neman. D said he just doesn't have the time of day for people to kind of, keep him tied up on those type of things. So if I ever just sense somebody's even slightly off, see ya, deuces, out. Go see another channel. I don't tolerate that.
Yeah, and I think it actually does hurt your channel as well. I think this is according to, the Niman brothers. We were talking about this last week at Social Media Marketing World. Like some of those, profanity and things like that happen in the comments, even if they were positive, like, hey, this is so, it actually, they think it actually. Hopefully I'm not quoting them wrong, but it does affect your channel a little bit. But no, that's great. That's great. Shelly on LinkedIn. Shelly saves the day. Hey, Shelly, good to see you here.
What's up, Shelly?
She says it's a really good strategy to end with a question, like have the last say, sort of have the last comment. I think that is so simple, but a lot of people don't acknowledge those things, right? Like they'll just like, oh, that's a comment. I'll heart it, or I like it, and they kind of leave it at that. So keep the conversations going, right? Yeah. Like reply with a question. Just keep it going.
Do you know that this is a fun one, Rob, actually, and I just discovered this. So YouTube just recently rolled out commenter badges, and you can see if they're the most hearted or if they've been subscribed for so long. I like to kind of give a person a shout out on those type of things. So if somebody I just noticed for the first time, they've commented, I don't recognize the name, I'll say, hey, what's up, Rob? Thanks. I appreciate you watching and commenting. By the way, I really appreciate that you've been a subscriber of my channel for the past 9 months. It really means the world to me. Is there any kind of questions I can cover for you? Now, obviously, that's a closed-ended question, but you get the idea. So I love doing that. And it's so funny that I'm so record fast on answering my comments that some people are like, oh my gosh, you reply? I'm like, yeah, why shouldn't I? That would be kind of a jerky thing for me not to do. I know you're familiar with Evan Carmichael. Evan actually makes sure that all of the comments are commented. Come on, the guy has over 2 million subscribers and millions of views per day. He built out a team that helps comment back because he knows the sense of community. It's required to really start to grow something massive. So until the day becomes unmanageable, though, I'm still going to stick with the comments and still say to people like, hey,
your thing.
I've made you the most hearted commenter on here. I appreciate that. Means that you're awesome.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, it's such an easy thing, and it's just one of those things that gets missed. I mean, I think I love comments. It's just one of those things people need to do. But yeah, I want to say what's up to Catherine Rosario Jung on LinkedIn. Thanks for hanging out with us. She's just like, oh, they're wondering, Dale, where's your glasses?
I got LASIK surgery a little over a month ago.
There you go, Catherine.
And I just shaved my beard 2 or 3 days ago.
I
So
know.
now it's really messing with people.
They're like, who are you, man? Who are you?
Yeah.
No, it's good. I want to say what's up to Adrian on Facebook, Ricardo. We got Iggy Castillo here as well. We got Jeff Bates here. Yeah, no, amazing. So many people here hanging out. That's great. Okay, if you guys have any questions, by the way, I've got a couple more questions for Dale. But if you guys have any questions, this is the time to ask. Ask Dale all your questions about building and engaging with community on YouTube. So. Okay, so this is a really good question. This is something I'm trying to figure out. You know, I have a Facebook group. You know, the Content Marketers Cafe. Little plug.
Yep.
But yeah, it's an amazing group. You're in it. Awesome. We're live there right now. So hello everyone that's there. But yeah, it's you know, it's a really fun group. You know, I built a community. I'm building a community just because really, you know, I work remotely. I work remotely here from home or a coffee shop. So, you know, I don't really have an office where I go to. And even if I did, like, I think in our space, it's really hard to find people that sort of like understand what we do. But when it's online, you know, it's really easy, you know, like everybody, you know, that you want to connect with that do the same thing, YouTube, content marketing, you know, all that stuff. It's really easy to find online. So that's really the heart behind building a community for me. But where else can you grow community outside of YouTube? You're already crushing it there. But like, what's your thoughts on growing a community outside of YouTube?
The reason why you don't want to go fully bullish on YouTube is, folks, the reality of the situation is it's their game we're playing in it. And sometimes there have been some creators that have had the carpet pulled out from underneath them, and they didn't have any sort of backup plan. They didn't have any way to track their audience or where they're at. And when an audience is following you exclusively on YouTube and you disappear, they're going to look, but they're going to probably give up after a while if you don't have other means to get a hold of you. So this is why I look at other avenues of growing an additional following over on Twitch. Twitch has been huge for me, especially for live streaming and podcast recording. Rob mentions one really, really, really good one is Facebook groups. Do not sleep on Facebook groups. I'm telling you this right now. I built a Facebook group on YouTube live with a friend of mine. He actually had, at that time, 18,000 active members in a very niche Facebook group. And I was like, dude, you got to show me how to do this. Let's do it on YouTube. We went ahead, we put it together specifically for self-publishers, and it was called Self-Publishing Books. Did it in June, the year before last, I think 2018. So we're going on 2 years now. This group's been together. And the nice thing about growing a Facebook group, and the reason why I'm so bullish on it, is it is the easiest way to get organic traffic to your brand and also promote your YouTube channel. The reason I say this, and let me go ahead and give you just a really quick like synopsis on how you do things. Set up a Facebook group, all right? Then put in your Facebook business page as an admin or a moderator of some sort. Anytime you post within that group, post as your business page. Now, hopefully your business page is attached to your YouTube channel. So all we're going to do is we're going to create some great content in there, right? Not just dropping our links and deucing out. We're going to want to still create the value that I've told you we do inside YouTube, but now we're going to do it inside the Facebook group. And when somebody goes and they get engaged with your content, they might like the post, they might comment. Facebook does this little notification to you. It lets you know, like taps you on the shoulder and says, hey, so-and-so, Rob Balasabas actually just liked your thing. Would you like to invite him to like your business page? So then you're able to invite him on over. He gets on over there. He'll like your business page, hopefully. And then you can start to bring in more of that audience, build more awareness of YouTube, and not just be on YouTube. Get it to where you're building a huge community. Now, my community is not the largest. It's probably just north of 3,000 active members, and it's super active in there. The reason being is I put in a barrier of entry. People have to answer 3 questions in order to get in. If they don't answer, well, they're out of here. And I would say we'd probably be closer to about 10,000 members if I let everybody get in. But I turn away people that can't take the time to answer the questions. So there's Facebook. LinkedIn is a fantastic place if you are especially, for me, I always recommend to people, if you're a nonfiction author, you should be there. If you're a business or you're an online entrepreneur, be on LinkedIn. This is going to be an area that I'm going to definitely be going bullish when it comes to video in the very near future. So you can see there's so many ways to do it. Instead of being overwhelmed, one thing I would recommend to everybody, pick one avenue and master it. So I've got Facebook groups kind of on autopilot. I've already got it plugged into my videos. Every now and then I will mention it over in email marketing pieces, and then people get referred over there organically through Facebook because of all the activity. But you'll want to make sure you really master an avenue before you spread out, and also know your ultimate outcome. What do you want to happen? For me, I want to send more people to my YouTube channel, but in the same instance, I don't want it to be all about that. It's kind of like my safety net. Should YouTube up in one day disappear, or they say, Dale, I don't like you without your glasses, we're going to go ahead and get rid of your channel, then I have some type of a safety net. So that way I'm not just kind of left there hanging around, feeling naked. Yeah, no, that's, again, good advice, good advice. And we've got some questions here. I want to address them. Nice. Because these are really good questions. So one, this is from YouTube Live. This bites for you. I've had a group for some time, but it's dead in there. Don't know how to wake it up. So Dale, really quick thought, like what's the first thing that comes to your mind on how to wake up sort of a stale, stagnant group? Okay, so Rob, you're doing a killer job. I saw inside your group for Content Marketing Cafe, you recommended have people to like, hey, can more people talk? Because you didn't want it just to be the Rob Balasabas show. I see that you've got quite a few posts and people are engaging in it. But one of the things that really starts to trigger the Facebook algorithm is actually getting it to where different people are providing pieces. You're going to love this ninja tactic here. And I think this bites for you is going to love this as well. Find people inside the group that you can trust, that can be kind of like your generals. All right. And what you're going to do is you're going to anoint them as moderators of your group. You got to be able to trust them. Do not make them admins, all right? Because otherwise someone might go and kick you out and you lose access to it, and that's going to get to an ugly situation. But make sure you can trust these people. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to create a content release strategy throughout the week. At least cover Monday through Friday. Saturday and Sunday, not so important. It just depends. But if you can get it to where you have one person per day over the course of a week that's going to curate information or provide a post of some sort, that's the way you're going to want to do it. Now, it's going to be kind of like what I was telling you when it comes to comments. So Rob, what you're going to need to do is you're going to get that general, okay, the new moderator, to put a post up. Let's say every Monday, they're going to do the welcome post for you. Every Tuesday, they do a Tuesday thoughts post of some sort. The next person, every Wednesday, they're going to do Wednesday wellness posts. Think about things that are relevant to your group and just create a trickle of each one of these things. Now, each one of the moderator, I'm going to call them a general for right now, each general is going to be responsible for getting that comments going, getting it to where they're firing things up. So they post the content. The nice thing is if they're moderators, they can schedule the posts 90 days out, or it might be 60 days, one of the two. They get it set up. As soon as someone comments, be on it, all right? You need to be all over it. Somebody says, comment something, hit the like. Rob, take a guess. What do you think I'm going to end up doing when I comment on that person's comment?
It's going to trigger the algorithms, right? It's going to trigger all the notifications. But
how am I going to engage with them?
How are you going to engage with asking a question? Yes, asking more questions. Yes,
exactly. Get it going. And I'm going to tell you some simple ones. This is going to be really easy. This is going to be a good one for you, Rob. And you can reach out to anybody to become your general inside there. But what you'll do is I do one that's called Thursday Thoughts. It takes off every week. It's the craziest thing. Thursday Thoughts, go online. All you got to do is type up thought-provoking questions. You'll pull up so many stinking websites. Have that person copy, paste it on in there. Now, it's not over yet. Do you know Anthony Ambrose at all?
Yes.
Okay. So Anthony actually taught me this one for LinkedIn. And ever since I've used it on all social platforms, feel really weird, but I trusted him on this and he was right. Put emojis. make sure anytime you post something, there's emojis, because for some reason it gets people to stop. The next key is don't put a wall of text. All right.
Mhm.
Shouldn't be a wall of text. Break it up into bite-sized chunks. Sure,
Mhm.
it might be the same amount of text, but if it's like right here, like this, people are going to go, oh, but if it's spread out, it's kind of like good ad copy. You're going to want to make sure you're sliding from the top down to the bottom. So we got the emojis. We're breaking up the content. Here's the next little key. Put something visual with it. So it could be like that thought-provoking question as an example. Maybe it's, you know, what did you want to be when you first grew up? That's probably not the most thought-provoking question. And it could probably be a picture of a kid, you know, holding a stethoscope or something like that. GIFs work really good. And if you can get short form video as well, that just kind of loops. I've always just kind of leaned over towards, I think it's giphy.com, GIPHY.com. You can go in, grab those things, but those common elements grab people's attention. It commands their attention. The next most important thing is if you're going to launch a post, figure out when your group is most active. So for me, I find that the group's most active typically in the morning Eastern Standard Time. So I try to get it to where they're launching somewhere between 9 a.m. and 12 p.m. during the weekdays. So that way it grabs people's attention. And as they're scrolling through, there's a GIF, there's emojis, they stop. Oh, that's an interesting thought-provoking question. Tap, 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 boom. And then you go ahead and you just try to talk to them and get it to where you get the conversation going, whether you're asking a closed-ended question or an open-ended question. Rob, I think you've got it on lockdown. Like your posts, when you post in the group and Content Marketing Cafe, like boom, there's tons of people all over it. Now all we got to do is get it to where you have some generals that you can get it to where it's not the Rob show, because dude, you've already got enough things to do. You hire out and you get it to where people will do it. And by the way, when I say hire out, you're not really paying people to do it. Most people will volunteer, and you're going to find that there's going to be some people that are more than willing to help you out. So this bites for you. Hopefully you can reach out to somebody within your community that you can trust and get it to where just let them know. You don't need to worry about banning people or moderating anything. I'm just going to give you moderator status so that way you can end up putting posts up. Does this sound okay? And if for some reason you aren't comfortable, all right, with doing any more posts, you get burnout, just let me know. And there's no hard feelings. I'll get somebody else to go ahead and replace that. And I've found that that works really, really, really well. My 5 days per week, it's always popping. And the nice thing is the more engagement and the more community you start to build, it starts to send little triggers on over to the Facebook algorithm. And Facebook starts to go, all right, let's go ahead and send these people on over here. And it starts to massively grow.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's really good. I mean, that's really good advice. I think that's really important. I like the idea of generals and moderators. I think that's really important. I know you can't really do it all on your own. And if it is a community, then you do need help. And yeah, that's fantastic. Also, when people do start posting and they start posting threads and starting conversations, help and introduce. Just like I always think of it like a party. I think it was Bella Vasta that really gave me this sort of like concept of like your group is kind of like a backyard party, backyard barbecue. And so if somebody does post, like somebody recently posted on in the group and saying like, hey, I'm doing this piece on course creators. I'd love to hear who are creating courses in here. And there's a ton of people. So then I tagged all of the people that I knew that created courses to kind of introduce them, right? So just like a party, you're like, hey, this is what you do. Okay, cool. You should meet so-and-so, so-and-so, and kind of get them in a conversation. And then you can step away and then move on to other conversations. But yeah, no, that's amazing. That's fantastic. Got a couple more questions here, Dale. I know we're pushing 40 minutes, so I'm gonna be mindful of your time, but this is more on time management and content creation. Catherine from LinkedIn is asking, how do you manage time to make and come up with video? I'm a mom of 2 plus a student and training to grow my online business. So how do you do it? What's your cadence when creating content on a weekly basis? Because you pump them out like every few days, sometimes more, every
4 new
every
pieces
couple days
per week and 1 live.
Exactly.
One thing is, Catherine, give yourself some credit, give yourself some kudos, because you are a full-time mom that is trying to take care of everything. I have no children. I've got 1 cat and I've got a beautiful wife that I'm able to spend some time with. It's going to come down to prioritizing everything. And you have to probably sit down for just 1 hour, I would say. This week, could be this weekend, either way, etch out 1 hour. Don't allow anybody else to interrupt. Say to the kids, hey, look, like, I need this time for myself, and take that time for yourself. And you're just going to get out a notepad, or it can even be opening up your laptop and just jotting down everything that's important to you. And then you're going to prioritize and organize it in importance. So I always think to myself, okay, I need to do X, Y, and Z in order to get and achieve the specific goal that I want to go for this week, this month, or this year. And so that leads me to the very next thing is, in order to know what your priorities are, you got a goal set and get it to where you're setting goals. And I know there's a lot of people out there that are so scared to set goals because they don't want to fail. Good news, failing is not a bad thing. Failing is just a way for you to go and really reassess, okay, how could I have done that better? What can I do next? And how can I grow from this? So I'm going to tell you that I've had way more mistakes and failures than I've had successes. It's nice that you see that you're struggling right now, Catherine, and everybody goes through that struggle in some capacity. That is one thing that you have to your advantage. You're self-aware to know, okay, I'm trying to balance everything. How the heck am I going to do this? What you're going to need to do is, it's almost like having a closet. I used to tell this to people when I was working with them in personal training. And inside your closet, you have 24 boxes. In each one of those boxes, think of it as an hour within your day. You're going to need to every now and then pull out a box or two and assess, okay, how am I filling this box up? What is inside here? What is absolutely essential? What do I need to have in order to live? And then look at the boxes that aren't fulfilling you, isn't moving the needle in your business, isn't quite a strong priority. And you're going to need to take that box and dump it out, send it on over to Salvation Army because it's not serving you anymore. And so that means that you're going to probably have to look at the times of, okay, I'm going to sit down and binge Netflix, which, hey, look, I binge Netflix just like everybody else does. I binge YouTube, everything else, but sometimes I know that's not going to help me move my business forward. So then I have to realistically say, all right, in order for me to prioritize myself to doing, say, 3 videos per week or 2 videos per week, I need to sacrifice X, Y, and Z. I need to pull that box out of the closet because there's no room for us to cram more boxes in. We can't create more time, but what we can do is create more organization and more prioritization. And then from there, you'll be able to move forward. This is something I'm going to tell you that I wish I had it down to a science, but ultimately what happens is a goal set on a regular basis. At least every 90 days, I reassess those goals, and they go out to about 1 year to 2 years at a time. Then I break them up into bite-sized pieces, and I put it on a checklist here on my phone, and I get it to where they're all time sensitive. So I know that today already I have on my checklist that I need to launch a video by 1:15. Don't know that it's going to happen. I'm going to try my best to get it done. But either way, I've got that as one of my tasks. And when I check it off, boy, I'll tell you what, it's very fulfilling. So what it comes down to is figure out what's moving the needle. Whatever's not moving the needle, as much as it might hurt you to kind of say, oh, I got to get rid of that, you're just going to need to sacrifice it. And in due time, your business is going to grow enough that you're able to hire out. So I'm very fortunate that I'm in a position, a financial position, that I'm able to hire out 2 different assistants. And this helps me to where I'm not overwhelmed with all the things that I have to do. Next on my docket is going to be hiring a video editor, and I'm going to be getting that video editor. It's going to take more things off my plate, and then I can start to prioritize more stuff. In the meantime, if you don't have the discretionary expense or the resources, you're just going to have to analyze those 24 hours in a day and figure out how you can best organize it and prioritize it.
Yeah, I think I would say the same thing. It really comes down to organizing and prioritizing. There's so many things to building a YouTube channel. There's community that we're talking about. There's planning, there's editing, there's promoting.
Oof.
You know, there's yeah, so you know, a lot of the channels that are doing really well and growing, they're starting to look at hiring and you know, virtual assistants and all those things. And yeah, it's just part of that. But if you're doing this on your own, it definitely comes down to prioritizing, maybe cutting out some of the things that you're doing, and you know, that's not leading to whatever your ultimate goal is, which you just mentioned there too, Dale. So very important, very, very important. So hopefully, Catherine, that answers your question. Yeah.
Question.
Really, really good question. Okay, so there's a really good question here, but I think what it ultimately is asking, Dale, is when do you need to really stop listening to your audience at some point, you know, if ever, if that's something that you should do, and really start paying attention to analytics and, you know, what keyword research is telling you as far as the content that you should create on your channel?
That is a juicy question. That is a juicy question right there, because I'll share with whoever had said this question here. My issue last year, I was going through one of my slumps, so I said, okay, let me get my audience to help me out. And so I started creating polls inside my community tab on YouTube, and in those polls, I would ask them, okay, what topics did they want to cover or me to cover? And I would take at least an hour to go through, and I would do all the research on the keywords. I'd put together the entire metadata, and I would allow them to vote. And I did this easily for, I would say, about 4 or 5 months, and it worked. It worked at first, but then I started to discover that some of these videos were just not performing well. I was getting a vast majority of my subscribers consuming them, but I wasn't getting new subscribers. So the problem is I was catering to my current audience, which is good. You should cater to your audience, but remember, there's an even larger audience outside of your current one. And unless your name is PewDiePie, you know, I think that everyone needs to always know that you're speaking to a wider and larger audience beyond the ones that are there. Because if you just want to remain, let's say, at 26,000 subscribers or 1,000 subscribers, and you just cater to them, that's fantastic, but you should never be frustrated if you don't see that grow, if all you're doing is catering to that audience. So I know it kind of seems like I contradict what I said at the very beginning of identifying your audience, but knowing that identifying your audience doesn't just mean that identify your subscribers. It's also identifying a wider and larger group of people that may be interested in what you have to do. I kind of relate this into a story, and this is always great because it always comes back to pro wrestling. Pro wrestling is a very interesting business. It's an entertainment business. And the funny thing is, you get a lot of these fans that get real fickle about how, you know, well, this storyline's not working this way, or somebody wasn't booked this way. That's all well and good. But believe it or not, most times you're seeing something on television when it comes to pro wrestling programming. It's not done for the current viewership. It's done for the wider audience, the casual viewers, to bring them in. So they think of it in a business strategy, into where they're like, okay, how do we get more people? How do we bring more people to our channel? So that's what you got to constantly be thinking about. And I have numerous strategies myself that I'll be really kind of doing and moving forward. Spoke with Daryl Eves last year. My wife and I had the pleasure of working with him in his coaching program. And he opened my eyes to, well, it's great you're, you know, addressing the authors, but isn't your service going to be good for other business owners and online entrepreneurs? And I'm like, yeah, you're right. So think bigger. That's the ultimate goal.
That's actually a really good advice, because I think a lot of people are afraid to kind of go out of their lane because they're doing so well. There is the risk of, obviously, when you go out of a new topic or go into a new topic, that your viewership or your views may go down a bit because the majority of your subscribers they didn't subscribe for that topic, I guess, right? And so you're testing it out. So, but yeah, that's good. I mean, it's a really good point to make, that if you want to grow, that you need to kind of test out and get out into different, audiences that may not have come for your original topic. But how do you test that out though? Like how far do you deviate from your core topics on your channel?
You don't want to deviate too far. You want to figure out what is your core message and how can you share that core message with a newer audience. So I'm continuing to do and provide to my current audience because they're going to show up and go, oh, well, he's talking to business owners. Oh, let me go ahead and hear him out. So the subscribers are going to go and watch. They're going to watch anyways. But I want to get it to where they still have something to gain out of watching it. And I'm also communicating in a way that it brings in that new audience member. So I try not to deviate too far. I think Owen Video actually had shared it in a live recently on, it might have been YouTube. He did a YouTube live and he shared how he had like 4 different like messages and it was bringing in all these different audiences. You don't want to be so splintered that you get all these different types of viewers, but you know, some of them are going to be like, I don't want to watch that. And they're going to, oh, I want to watch that. We want to get it to where we're communicating to where it brings everybody into the party because everybody want to feel that sense of community. They want to feel involved and not left out because ultimately if I'm starting to go, okay, I'm going to start talking about email marketing and nothing about self-publishing. So people are going to just show up and go, like Dale, no, Dale, you don't do email marketing. But if I say something like how email marketing is going to blow up your next self-publishing book launch, or how to market and promote through email marketing. So then now I'm going to bring in all the email marketers and they're going to go, huh, it's this guy that talks about self-publishing books. I've always thought about doing some books. Maybe I should consider this. And in the same instance, I'm delivering value to the current audience. And they're going, oh, well, my book launch is going to be great if I have email marketing put in place. Done. Sign me up.
Yep. Yeah, I love that. I think that's, I think you nailed it. You know, you need to tie it into your existing subscribers that they find benefit in it, but also then you're reaching a new audience that's interested in that new topic. You know, there is a point though, I think it needs to be said too, that there is a point where you might need to consider opening up a different channel altogether. I know our mutual friend Steve Dotto. We have a mutual friend Steve Dotto who used to have he has a channel that's growing and he's talking all about productivity and stuff. And then he also had his vlog in that same channel, and he just decided, you know what, it's not going to work. So he opened up a new channel just for his vlogs. So it was just too different, right? So yeah, you might have to consider doing that. But yeah, that's fantastic.
A huge reason why I did the live streaming tech with my brother, rather than doing it on my channel, because I tried to put out content based on say live streaming on my stuff, and my people were like, no. I opened this up and we were able to really get things going. We got it monetized in about a year, and it started to really pick up some traction this year. So super happy. And I separated it. And the nice thing is I got a partner that actually helps me put that together. So if you think about doing different content, maybe think about having someone go along with you on the ride.
Amazing. I love it. Awesome, Dale. I think this is probably a good place to wrap it up. Where can people find you online? I'm going to put your channel up on the screen here. But other than that, where's the best place to connect with you?
Super easy, selfpublishingwithdale.com. So you're going to find out all the information. You'll get a link to my channel. You'll get a link to the courses that I have, all the things you need to do. It's being at selfpublishingwithdale.com. And even if you just typed up self-publishing Dale, Google searched it, it will probably bring me up. Easy to remember, just think Chip and Dale. The sexy male dancers, not the cartoon characters. Come on now. Come on, Rob. You got the sexy dancers, right?
Exactly, right? Oh man, need coffee. I need coffee. We need to shut the live stream down now. No man, it's awesome. Always good to hang out with you, Dale. I'm really excited to see you in New York, and I know you're gonna kill it there and being the MC for that event. Everybody that joined us live, thank you so much for hanging out. So really good to be here with you. Go find Dale on his channel and also on his website, selfpublishingwithdale.com. Say hi there. When's your next live stream?
My next live will be this Saturday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Would love for everybody to join me. I actually will be talking about one of my favorite topics in keywords. So
keywords. There we go. Awesome. So yeah, tune in for that. And we'll see you, I think, tomorrow or Friday. And we're going to have Justin Brown joining us here. And we'll see you then. Thanks again for hanging out. And take care.